Welcome to Buzz Around Town. I'm your host, Buzzy Blinn, and the buzz is all about my friend Don Sargent here. Don Sargent and his wife, Judy, are leaving Plaistow after approximately 20 years of dedicated service to the town. I am pleased to have you as my guest, and I totally mean that, Don. I'm so proud to be told that I could talk to you tonight about things about the town and your family. So, Don, let's go back a few years. Would you tell me about your younger days, where you grew up and went to school?
Well, I grew up on, which is now Harriman Road.
Yeah.
At the time it was Sargent Road, but they changed the name back to Harriman Road. And I went to public school.
Mm-hmm.
I had some of the teachers that taught my father, and they used to tell me, don't fool around, we beat him, we can beat you. So that's the way it was. And I learned a lot in the little school, and it was an honor to go on further and from what I learned there.
When you were in, what year was that when you went to Pollard School? I just want to...
1948.
Wow. Pollard School must have been really small then.
It was.
Gee.
8 rooms.
8 rooms.
8 rooms, and that was it.
How many to a class at that time?
Probably 30. I think I was 31 in that class.
31 students.
Yeah.
Wow.
There isn't too many left now.
Yeah.
Lost a lot of them over the years.
Okay. And you grew up in Plaistow.
Oh, yeah.
And actually you've spent most of your life in Plaistow.
Yeah.
And has it been on Harriman Road all this time?
Always on Harriman Road. It was a dirt road when I was a kid, and now it's a tar road. I miss the old dirt road.
Dirt road, yeah, I
Town
know.
grew too
I can't
fast.
imagine somebody remembering that there was dirt roads in Plaistow, but
There
you're
was.
actually saying you remember them. And Plaistow was very small then, huh?
Yeah.
Very quiet.
We used to go down to the A&P store with the horse and wagon, pick up our groceries.
Right down in the center of town, right
in the
across
center
from the
of
town hall.
There was Parkett's Market, there was the A&P, and then if you got time, you went over to Barron Down store.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, that certainly says a lot for you and how long you've been here, and that's what Plaistow's all about. Sargent's a popular name in Plaistow. Are you related to all of the Sargents, or is there just a small...
There's 2 families. Barry Sargent isn't a relative, although we call each other cuz. My grandmother had 16 children, and out of 16, we developed a lot of cousins.
16 children?
16
God
children.
bless her.
Yeah.
Wow. Here's another question, and I'll... tell me about how you met Judy, your wife. I mean, you've been with Judy for forever, as far as I can remember.
41 years.
41 years.
I love deer hunting. It's always been one of my good sports. And we have a camp up off the Kangamangas up there in Albany. And I met this fella that, at the time, he was just deer hunting. And he invited me down to his house one day. And I went down there, and I see this young girl, and I said, well, pretty nice looking woman. maybe we'll work something out here.
And lo and behold, 41 years later...
We're still together, and now we're trying a new life.
New frontier.
Yeah, we're going to try a new frontier.
Wow, I'll tell you, that's a long time, and Judy is very lucky to have you. I know you're pretty dedicated as a pair to stay together and work together. I certainly think Plaistow has benefited from both of you, and I know Judy too. And she's been right there by your side no matter what you've done.
Oh, yeah. I've been beside hers, too. She's been a very sick girl.
Yeah, and she's always got good spirits, though, hasn't she?
Yeah, she's a strong woman, very strong.
Dawn, you have a long history in Plaistow activities as well as work. You were in Process, or you worked for many years at Process,
30
engineering.
Years.
Was it 30 years?
30 years. I retired out of Process.
How did that go, 30 years? I mean, you were actually in one of the biggest companies that ever, or will ever be in Plaistow to our...
It was a nice company to work for. Mr. Paul and Kenny Paul, I remember Kenny when he was just a kid like I was, and we worked up through. And Mr. Paul, you can never take it away from me. He treated me like a son, and he always said to me, you work for me and I'll work for you. I never forgot those words.
And they've always been generous to the town, and
Oh.
you've always been right aside of him
Yeah.
to always trying to get things for Plaistow, am I correct?
Oh, yes. He was a wonderful person. In fact, that's where the water line started, was Mr. Paul putting in a sprinkler system for his plant and run a hydrant out to the Main Street. One little hydrant out there.
Well, that was a big deal, huh?
Now we got miles.
Yeah, well, thanks to you, and I hope we'll get into that some moments down the road here. You were involved with the fire department too, Don, as
Yeah.
another
I,
extra.
Dick Latham put me on as a call fireman. It was quite a while ago. I had almost 20 years there,
Wow.
and Dick Latham taught me a lot of things, and I was fortunate enough to save some people's lives, and
Yeah.
that made me feel good.
Yeah.
If I can help, that's the way I am.
Yeah. When you were in the police department, I mean the fire department, I didn't. I'm surprised you wasn't the police. You probably was. But when you were with the fire department, is there any memorable things that or anything that sticks out when you were in the fire department in those days, when things were a lot different in Plaistow?
Well, we didn't have much equipment to work with, but I remember when the Ashmont building burned down up here, and that was quite a
One
fire.
of the big fires.
That was one of the big fires, and everybody learned something. You know, it was all volunteer, but you learned to work together. If you didn't work together, you could probably get in some serious trouble with a fire. I remember one fire we had up on Main Street. Butch Peabody was there, and we were in that fire there, and we went in a side window. I'll never forget it. And we see the fire, and Butch says, "Put the hose right on the fire, and we ain't getting nowhere. It was getting hotter." Come find out it was a mirror wall, and we're pumping water onto a mirror. The fire was behind us.
Oh, that was.
It was something that you laughed at when you get back to the.
But it was pretty scary not seeing this
Yeah,
thing go
yeah,
out. So you
yeah.
really thought that was a fire, right?
Yeah,
Because it was reflecting.
it was reflecting.
Wow,
Yeah,
huh?
it was kind of a unusual situation, but you never forget things like that.
And so, who was the fire chief when you were first started?
Dick Latham.
Dick Latham.
Dick Latham put me on, and he made it pretty clear that you work together and we'll all be happy. And then I think it was Gene Brown after that, and then I think Don Petzel,
Yeah.
if I remember right.
Very a close-knit group of people local, huh? Wasn't
Yeah.
it? Like a
Yeah,
fraternity?
it was people who cared about the town.
I know I had a chimney fire, and then I shouldn't be taking away your steam, but I remember everybody. I knew everybody that came to my house.
Yeah.
And it was just so, that was what Plaistow was all about. That
Yeah.
was the small community.
You
that,
knew everybody by name.
Yeah. Okay, here's one. Through the fire department, you were involved, through the fire department, you got involved in the water lines and became the water line superintendent, superintendent to me. Why did you want to do this, and what was your responsibilities? I know this is something you've taken very personal toward what you're going to leave as a legacy in Plaistow in my book.
Well, when the fire department decided to get into the water line business, we put in that reservoir up on Maple Ave there. And I had, at the time, worked with Mr. Paul and the pump house that we had at Process in the water tower. And I asked if I could go with the other pump house because it was more modern. We had better stuff. From there, it was to try to save money and make it safe. Without it, you can get hurt. You know, the people in town get hurt. They depend on it. It gives you a good feeling when you can save something, save somebody's life, or save their home and stuff like that. That's why I did, and I've expanded. Now I'm carried away with it. It doesn't really go fast enough, but now I've decided.
It's a little bit of an addiction, isn't it? You really,
Yes.
you really love it.
I do, and I've got a pleasure out of it, and it's expanded, not to my wishes, but it's expanded. I don't want to put too much hurt on the taxpayers because there's a burden there.
Right.
And you don't get federal funding and stuff like that.
But little by little, as you've taken over, really, I've seen that whole water line expand to a point where it's really in place where it might have never been if we didn't have anybody that cared as much, and you really stayed with it. I know you did a lot of
there's a lot of goals there. Dick Latham was a big help for me
Absolutely.
because Dick always was there if I had a question, and the goal was to make loop systems. So if you break a pipe on this side, you just can still supply the fire with water.
Yeah.
And that's why I always want to keep going. Yep.
Yeah. And I was very lucky enough to be with Don several times when he showed me the pump house for the first time that Plaistow actually has. It was quite amazing how that all works. And Don has maintained them, and I'm quite fascinated at the engineering that's in there. And some of the people at Plaistow have probably, and it's not their fault, but has no idea what goes on behind the scenes to protect them.
Yeah, I always put it in the town report every year, invited anybody that wanted to be a resident of Plaistow to come over to the pump house, and I'd show them because it is a lot of money and it's good equipment. Maintenance is the whole secret.
Exactly, and I commend you on, and I couldn't elaborate on it enough in what you've done for Plaistow and just that area. We were pretty proud of you. You've been diligently moving forward and making decisions, saving the town money, creating a a lot of your time. I don't even think you charge for half the time, but you wanted to be there. And again, that's what this is all about, somebody like you that have put all these years in and helped us out. Here's another one. I think you'll like this one. Animals are a big part of your life. Have you been a trapper for long? For how long? And tell me about what you trap and where and what do you do with it. Now those are 3 questions here, so we'll just say, how long have you been a trapper?
Well, I started pretty young. My father was a trapper, and I had trouble keeping up with him because he walked faster than I. My legs were long, but at the time it was all chicken farms in Plaistow, and of course fox was a pretty plentiful thing, and money was tough. We didn't have money in my family, so we used to buy our Christmas stuff, our clothes, out of our fur.
So you actually trapped them, skinned them, and sold the fur so you could actually enjoy Christmas and the things that we all take for granted. And you were out there.
That's true.
Wow. That's.
I learned a lot of parts of the woods in Plaistow by trapping animals.
Yeah, you probably. I've been with you on a fox hunt. Oh, not a fox hunt. What was it? A coyote one day when we were up and watching you. And I said, "Gee, I couldn't do that." So that's just something that the fear of animals a lot of people have, and you just seem to. I mean, you do. I don't know if you fear them, but you seem to be so at ease with animals as far as what they need and what they don't.
You got to think like them. Once you think like them, then you've learned the secrets.
Now, I don't know how they think, but I imagine that makes a lot of sense in what they'll do under these conditions that you're trapping them or trying to get them away from people in harm's way. Tell me about what you trap. So we know you trap foxes.
Foxes, raccoons, muskrats, mink, otter, and a lot of them were trouble animals. Like muskrats, they burrow and ruin farm ponds at the time. There were a lot of farm ponds. Foxes are killing chickens everywhere. And then we did the beaver because they started coming in pretty heavy, and that's been a battle of mine for a long time.
Okay. So as through the years, have you noticed that, I mean, this must have been a great frontier for trapping when you were young, and watching growth and development. It's certainly changed the way the animals work now in the town. They're still around, but not like they were.
They don't have the habitat no more, so that's the biggest problem. And, I've had people tell me the beaver moved back in my backyard. Well, the beavers didn't move there. They were there. The contractor moved in there. And a lot of things have been developed like that. Problems with trying to balance the tables, I guess you'd call it. But there is less animals now, though, and it's a well-controlled seasons so that they won't hurt. And I have a lot of enemies that just don't like to have me out there.
Yeah.
Trapping is not a good word in a lot of people's mind, but it's a necessity.
Yeah, they still trap a lot up north and different areas, so
well,
you're
I
right.
do quite a bit in Plaistow.
And in this case, it was good for a lot of the farmers and families. If they weren't trapped, they become it becomes a problem, and nobody even realizes. As we saw with the beaver dam and what they can do, they
Oh,
can
yeah.
be very destructive.
Well, and like I say, years ago it was the fox, and a lot of people's income would depend on their chickens. If they didn't have them, they didn't have money.
Well, Don, I don't know if you remember, when I had moved to Plaistow when I was a little boy, I worked for I didn't want to work, but Mr. King, he had a chicken farm on Kingshore Avenue.
That's right.
It was right on the corner there, and I used to clean up some of the things. Very nice guy. You probably knew Mr. King better than I did. He was just this elderly gentleman that kept telling me what to do, and he'd give me a couple bucks a week, and I found it real interesting. He did have chickens, and I did remember a little bit of what you probably saw all your life.
Yeah.
Because I moved up from Haverhill when I was a young kid, and I couldn't believe it. It was all like farmland, 125, and
A lot of farms are gone. I can remember we used to cut hay in fields, and now the trees are a foot in diameter where we were cutting hay. It's amazing. It's some of the things that I'm going to probably miss going to Arizona.
I'm sure it'll always be part of you, but I think we'll be glad that whatever you're doing is the right decision for the family, and I think that's what this is all about. Animal control officer, I believe some of the time you and Judy shared the role. Now, Judy actually she took over that job at times when you were working.
Yeah.
So we had 24-hour service in Plaistow from your family to take care of our cats, our dogs, and I only can say that I couldn't see anybody treating my animals any better than when they were brought to your place. In fact, they hated to come out. And you were always really good to them. And
we took good care of things.
There's a lot more to that too.
We were a team, and it was 24/7, which you're not going to get people today for 24/7. And that's how my wife got hurt. She was on the job, and she got a car accident on Westville Road.
Which changed
she was
everything.
picking up a dead cat over there. And
she was around that bend.
right on that corner.
And so that doing something to better somebody's life with their animal, Judy's life changed.
Yeah, that was the big
So
change.
sorry. Did you enjoy being an animal officer?
Yeah, I liked it. There was times that you get called 1 o'clock in the morning to go out, and 2 o'clock in the morning to go out, but I always felt if I could help somebody out with their animals or something, it was a good thing to do. And it's worked out over the years, and I've had some very unusual calls, and
What was
some
one
of them
the,
you can write a book about.
give me one or two of your most unusual calls as a animal officer in Plaistow that we would be shocked over hearing, or at least
I don't know about
surprised.
shocked, but I remember going over on Main Street, I got called for, had a snake in the cellar, so we went in and the snake was curled up down the bottom of the stairs. So I started down the stairs and my hat took right off. I said, what the heck was that? And I looked and there's a monkey sitting on top of the thing. He's got my hat. The lady said, don't take it back. He'll bite you. He owns that now. But I got my hat back. And I got the snake.
Got the snake and you had a monkey on your back. Wow.
And
Gee.
when you get somebody that's been bit by an animal, if possible, a rabbit, and you follow through on it, and we just had one last week on a bat, and it turned out to be a negative thing, but people were sweating it. And
Yeah.
rabies shots are not fun. I had them. I know all about them.
Yeah. Rabies and all of that, it seemed to me, we get more down toward the southern part of the state than they get up north, and why? I mean, is there a...
I don't know if it's because of the cold weather, the harsh winters up there that does it, because I'm not a person that can describe it as feral as a lot of people, but we have more animals down here too. And wherever you have a lot of animals, nature tries to take care of it itself, such as mange on fox and stuff like that. But we do have our share of West Nile virus and
Right.
Triple E. We 4 for 4 on birds that we sent up.
So we're in a very
We're in
hot
a hot
zone
area,
right now.
hot area, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and Denise and I have worked very close on that because there again, it's the safety of people.
Again, it's people don't, it's a very important job, really.
Well, it is if somebody gets rabies and I don't want to be the person to follow up on it.
What was your most difficult situation as far as animal officer? Like, if you can think of the monkey, certainly I like.
Yeah.
But was
I've
there
had
a real experience with
I've had bulls out of pens, and let me tell you, I'm not a rodeo person, but it's when you got a big bull and he don't want to go back in his pen, you got some fun. So.
And you have to.
Well, you get them in.
I have no doubt you would get them in.
Yeah, one way or another, they go in.
I know it was one of the things they said is that probably the rabies shot was the most painful, right? Those are monsters, right? You have to have those shots,
yes,
don't you?
the insurance, that's a obligation as animal control officer. The insurance company demands that you have rabies shots. So.
Just because I'm unexperienced at this and I have the opportunity to ask, if I was to have a rabies shot, why is it so painful? I mean, isn't it just like a needle in the arm?
Now you only have them on the arms, but they used to give them to you in the stomach.
Oh,
and
God.
that's no good. Giving yourself a diabetic shot with a needle that long, and these things are real long, and it's quite a bit of serum in one shot.
Well, they asked, let's see, I know you deal with a lot of animals, small and large. Did you have any interest in events with horses?
Oh, yes. I had a couple of, loose horses, but I had one down right in front of the Holy Angels Church. He got hit by a car.
Wow.
And I got over there, and it was pretty banged up. Its front shoulder was gone. And so the people were telling me, you ought to put that animal down. He's hurting. And I said, well, I'm going to call a vet, because if I put it down, you're going to find out that there was a contender for Kentucky Derby. So, and the veterinarian told me you made a very smart move, because it was his decision to do that.
That's pretty, this is hard to believe that you would go through this. You just picture, animal control is just picking up a dog or a cat, or very simplified. But I know for a fact, just knowing what you do as a selectman and listening to when you come for budget season and talking, it's a much more intense job, and we were lucky to have you even doing what you've done over the years to help the town of Plaistow, because that was a lot of work.
Ruthie was treasurer when I took that job over 30 years ago.
She'll be watching this, so be careful.
I can probably no, I remember when
Jeez.
Ruthie retired as treasurer, my wife made a cake and it had all animals on top of it. She never forgot it.
Wow, huh? She's a sweetheart, huh?
Oh,
you don't get any better than Ruth
there's
Jennings,
a person
my
there
God.
that's
Yeah, you're right. She's
really,
been a blessing.
We're like historians to each other. We always ask each other different questions.
Also, I guess you were a member of the Fish and Game, and Judy also is involved as well.
Yeah.
And tell us about some fun times, some good friends you've known there. Is there anybody?
Well, the Plaistow Fish and Game it's a very good organization for the town of Plaistow, because they do donate a lot of stuff to the town. A lot of people don't hear it, but they do. If there's any organization that needs something done, they usually will jump on the wagon, and they donate the hall to a lot of people. We even have birthday parties for selectmen over there.
Oh, yeah, I heard they're pretty rough, though. I heard you'll
Yeah,
never...
you get into cake over there.
Yeah,
and
the
stuff
cake
like
was
that.
flying one night, and I guess you had to straighten that out. And
But, I spent 10 years with him, and as the president of the club, and I enjoyed it, because we brought dancers to the town, and believe it or not, we've had every politician there was in town have them dances, and it makes you feel good to see the people unite.
And we always feel good when we walk in, and you're always there, and Judy's always there.
That ain't the reason.
Well, it's...
But,
again, it's part of. I know you're backtracking a little over what you do, but I know that you were very instrumental in making that club even better than it was. Because
we expanded,
and
yes.
as a group, but you certainly was part of it.
Oh, yeah.
That was part of your life for a long... Yes.
Yeah, the goals were there, and we produced them.
And I think you accomplished well there. You've left that in good shape.
Yeah, yeah. We gave a lot to the town while we could. And my wife, she was the president of the ladies' organization, which is another need of helping hands, I think the name of the thing was, and they did a lot for senior citizens, which is good.
Yeah, and she was always extra good when it came to helping other people.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Yes. Well, that's probably why we feel it's a very good honor to have you
We're a little lucky
before
in a
us
way.
and to talk to you a little about your family.
Well, I've known you a long time.
You've been trying to take a crack at me. Look, I worked with you, Don. If
I know
I
you
held you
did.
up for many years over there at Westville Homes. If it wasn't for me, you'd be taking off on a break while I did all the carpentry work. But no, and also I can honestly say that I did work with Don when I was a young man, and he was the nicest guy during those years to me, and always friendly, helpful, and caring. And I can honestly say that
Well, I appreciate
that was
that.
my first ever position on, and it never really changed. You've always been that way. So you were that way with a lot of people, but you took me under my wing when I didn't know a lot, and you covered me a lot, and you made sure I was all right. But I really appreciate
You
that.
turned out to be successful.
Oh,
That's the whole thing.
Don, leaps and bounds. It's just a matter of time. You know, I
You
just
needed that kick, and we
Oh, the
kicked you.
kick, yeah. Well, I mean, Paul at school kicked me too, right out. But I can honestly say, tonight, as we're talking, there's a message. Is there anything you'd like to mention that I haven't covered so far, like a message to your friends on any situation on?
Well, I have a lot of friends in Plaistow,
Right.
and I feel honored to have them there. Somewhere along the line, I must have helped them do something, and they never forgot it. In fact, this past week, this last couple of weeks, since people found out that we're going, I've had many, many calls and a lot of visitors to the house, and a lot of good wishes, you know.
Of course, you were honored in our yearbook. You're
Yeah.
always showing up with great pictures. I see you with the water line and everything, and you've always been
Well, that's
kind of
part
special
of it.
to hopefully that goes down to, as in Arizona.
Yeah, we're going to Arizona, Glendale, Arizona. But this year, the town report, the cover on it, it made me an honor to think I took those pictures.
This year, the one we just
Yeah,
had.
the Cox's Farm.
Beautiful,
You know, I
beautiful.
thought they were pretty good, and I felt honored letting them use
Well, you're a
them.
jack of all trades, you know that? Photographic and everything. Let's go back to the water line. I have some questions. What was your biggest accomplishment on the water line that you feel is your accomplishment? And I know that might be too hard for you to just grab it out of the air, because I know you don't like bragging about yourself or anything.
One of the accomplishments was I always wanted to have a loop system in that thing. And I'll go back to Dick Latham. We sat down and we figured the best way to do it. Kingston Road was going to build a bridge over there, and I see the chance to jump on and piggyback that project along. But the hardest problem was getting under the railroad tracks, because you couldn't go over them because they'd freeze the pipes. So it was amazing to see it being done, and it was the first time. I learned something. I really did. I learned a lot there, and it come out right. And there again, not taking a pat in the back, we saved a lot of money to the town, and that's what it's all
I think we'll
about.
just give you a pat on the back. You don't have to pat yourself
I
on the
didn't
back.
pat myself.
You know, but no, we constantly talk about that,
No.
and that you've done such a great job. I guess I maybe want to go back a little. I think I've met your children, but could you give us a little idea of how many children and what they're doing and where they are?
Yeah, I have 4 children, 3 boys, 1 girl.
Wow.
And they've all been very good to us. We never got much trouble from them, and they're all successful. They're between the 4 of them, there's 3 businesses, and my daughter is very successful in her job, and she owns property in Haverhill, and it makes you feel good. You work hard and fortunate, because
Right.
there's a lot of problems out there for
You're right.
parents today.
Grandchildren?
We have 2. We got one 21 years old. Imagine that, a grandchild.
You're
And
going to
then
be
we
a
have
great
one-
grandfather
We
at
have one
21.
2 years old, and we're expecting another one.
I can see it. What are your plans in Arizona? Work, fun, etc. I mean, going to Arizona, it's going to be a whole new situation. I'm sure you're probably anxious, but also to go there. What have you been in Arizona?
Yes, my boy lives out there. One of my boys lives in Arizona. He asked us to want to come out and visit, so we took a shot at it and went out and visited him. And of course, I can't sit still. I have to do something. So I went down to the Glendale Police Department and said, "What do you have for an ACO down here?" And they said, "Gee, why?" And I said, "Well, I got some potentials, and I'd like to talk about it." And they said, "Well, when you're down here, you talk, because who knows? I may be doing animals down there, or rattlesnakes or whatever. But it'll keep me out of trouble." And
you got to stay busy, huh?
I have
You're
to
going to
stay
miss the
busy.
water lines.
Oh, water line.
Who knows? Maybe you'll be doing water lines down there. Hopefully.
They don't worry about them freezing. That's for sure. So.
Well, it sounds good. A lot of people, I know you're, as an animal officer, that was one of your handles for all the years, fame or whatever it might be. But you talk about bats. We got a lot of bats. Is there anything strange about bats?
Well, we have a lot around, but a lot of times bats, they get into houses. There again, we invaded their habitat, so now they take over the house.
And they can get in a house, even?
Oh yeah, they can go in within a half-inch to three-quarter-inch little teeny hole. They're in, and that's it. They'll come in and out of there every day.
And they'll bring their
I've
families.
had some pretty comical things from bats too.
Really?
Yeah.
Give me one.
Well,
I mean, what's comical about a bat? I don't like them. They're scary.
well, you get a call. You got to get right over to my house. There's a bat in my house. You get over there, and a woman's standing on top of the kitchen table and with a cell phone. And it gets kind of funny after a while.
Yeah, you're trying.
Yeah, but they can be. You got to watch them pretty careful too.
All these animals do little funny things, and people react strange. That's probably what these questions are about, or things that we want to know about you. The funny things that happen.
You have to know the habits of them. That's what I've always tried to do, is learn the habits. And I was very fortunate. The police departments always worked very, very good with me. We had the two girls there, Dorothy and Rachel, there, and they even caught bats.
Wow.
We taught them to catch bats.
And they're not afraid of them.
No, if you do it right, you don't have to be afraid of them.
You're right. I did know a trapper that they were very familiar. The whole family was familiar with animals up in Laconia, and I was lucky to know them. Have you ever dealt with moose or coyotes?
Coyotes? Oh yeah, they're on the grow in Plaistow too. We have quite a few of them over to Cox's farm, Goodrow's farm. A lot of people call me up to say they see a coyote, you know. They're coming back. They're not as bad as sometimes the newspapers make them out to be, but you have to do, there again, control them. Because if you don't control them, you're going to have them in the backyard.
A resident called the town hall complaining that there was a large black snake. Is that the snake you're talking about? Was hanging from a tree in your yard?
Oh,
was
yes.
acting aggressive?
Yeah.
But that was hanging from a tree?
Well, all it was doing, it was one of them black adder snakes, and it was just sunning itself because they were a cold-blooded animal. And I went over, I walked right over to it, and it jumped down. And I said to the lady, I said, "See, it's more afraid of me."
Are they a big snake?
They're pretty good size. Yeah, they get pretty good size, but nothing like, they make it out to be. But I've had some pretty good ones.
I heard you. Did you capture that snake?
Yeah, took it away for the lady.
Did you bring it down to town hall?
Yes. Somebody's spreading the stories here.
I'm just lucky enough to pick up a few things. It did say that apparently the town hall said that they saw a large snake in the town hall in a cage.
Yeah, I
We
took
thought
it
it was
down
something cute and cuddly, and you never told them what was in there, or at least.
until they saw it.
And did they like it?
No, they didn't.
They flew out of there. Those are the cute things that Don does for the town hall whenever he's awful playful. Today he's a little quiet, but I imagine tired from all of the emotion.
Try to keep people laughing. That's a goal,
I also say apparently you saved a duck.
Well, I saved a lot of
Could you tell me a little about that duck? Apparently the assessment clerk was involved in it. Was injured?
Oh, yeah. In fact, I ended up giving that duck to her, and they took it and where she lived. And
Brought it back?
yeah, yeah. I have a feeling a fox grabbed it, and it got away, but it was hurt. So she took it, and they nursed it back at their place. You know, a lot of people probably would have said, get rid of it. Give it a chance.
What about the raccoons? Didn't you save a couple baby raccoons and brought them
Oh, I
up?
used to raise them. Yeah,
But didn't you? The mother got killed, and you were
yeah.
nursing it, and
We nurse them. Well, you get raccoons is an animal that loves to get in a fireplace. In your house, they sleep on the damper, and people call you up and say, "I got some strange noise," and go over and I'd listen, and after a while, you get to know what they sound like. So I tell the husband, "You go outside and watch." And I had starter fluid, and I just squirt a little bit in. The mother, she'd take right off, and I'd reach in, take them out, go home, and Mother Judy would feed them out of a bottle, and we always took them down back and learned them how to fend for themselves, and then we'd take them somewhere and let them go.
yeah.
In fact, they were highlighted at Old Home Day years. Kids loved
Yes,
to
I
pat
heard
them.
it. Yeah.
Then when rabies started coming in, the fishing game says we better back
A little
out.
careful with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
animals, not that you would.
But
But it
it's
sounds
not.
like your love for animals,
Oh, I
even
love-
though you're a trapper or whatever you did, you always, and I thought you always showed respect and more love for animals than most people do. So that's a little bit of conflicting, isn't it?
No, it isn't.
You know what
Money
I'm
was
saying.
tough. Money was tough. My
Yeah.
family was. What I did with trapping is I paid our way sometimes with money like that. People find it hard to believe, but you learn how to make a dollar when you have to.
And you certainly came the
And
hard
we
way,
just
right?
didn't, waste the animals. We used the animals. That's it.
No, I'm just admiring some of the stuff. I guess
It was always done for a reason. The survival part of it.
Ruth Jennings mentioned one day that you had got an iguana on Main Street in
Yeah,
Plaistow.
up and back.
How
of her.
did you come up to an iguana, knowing all the different animals you ever captured, and this this prehistoric little animal, which is
Well, he wasn't really a little one. He was pretty
Oh,
good
okay.
size, but it was in back of her daughter's house, I think, up on North Main Street. Pretty sure. And I saw it. They pointed it out, and it was on the edge of the road. And I said, "Wow, this is going to be an interesting situation here." And let me tell you, they can move. I caught him, but it was a running race there for a few minutes. But we got him. I had him in a net, and I took him out. I thought he'd be all right, but he kind of wanted to tingle with my fingers. So I got him in a cage and took him down to, what did they call it?
yeah,
Zoo there up on 125, the Myriad's place. And he was happy as heck to see it.
Oh,
Somebody dumped it off. That's what it was. Somebody dumped it off, and
That's an unusual animal to be finding in the
well, they want to
Plaistow.
survive because they have to have heat. They
Oh,
cold
absolutely.
weather would have got it.
Yeah. Also, and I'm mentioning Ruthie because, some questions that Don's telling me stuff tonight that I didn't know, and hopefully a lot of people that know Don probably didn't know. Apparently, Ruthie said about working in the garden and selling vegetables. So were you sort of like a garden person? And
Oh, I love my gardens. I love my gardens, and I don't sell vegetables. I give them to the elderly people. And I kept the town hall full of tomatoes and peppers and stuff like that.
and you still have a garden to this day?
Well, it's all gone now. It's all gone by. My tomatoes have gone by and stuff
Okay.
like that. And I loved honeybees. I had a lot of honeybees too.
Oh, honeybees. That's another thing.
Yeah.
You're into bees and
Honeybees, my father again, following my father's footsteps. He showed us how to do bees when we were young. And
you have beehives like?
Oh yeah, I had it.
Oh, that's right. You had
I
honey.
used to give honey.
I have honey from
yeah.
you. That,
Oh, people.
gee, I mean, what do you want, huh? Hello. But no, that's. I mean, how many people? And not to say that you're the only one, but there's very few people that could actually go back through some of your background and the survival and what you're all about and where you are, and how you've taken Mother Nature and used it.
Benefit by it.
Am I right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
yeah.
kind of like that. Your dad must have been a real teacher of some sort.
He was one of 16 children. That was a survival race. And he learned. They all learned how to do stuff. And that's where I learned. And I always respected my old gent and followed his footsteps as many often as I could.
Here's one that, sorry, microphone. Here's one that kind of comes by us. What happened to the beaver on 125 in a chair of some sort? There's all sorts of stories out there. Now, can you kind of clarify it?
Well, I had nothing to do with it. A lot of people think I did, but I honestly didn't. I got a call that there was a beaver sitting in a chair smoking a cigar. Because I've been around animals all my life, and I never saw him smoking cigars, so I said, I'll go up. And sure as heck, the beaver was sitting in the chair with a cigar in his mouth. So I took care of that problem.
Did you?
I removed him.
He had a cigar in his mouth.
Somebody set it up in a chair with a cigar in his mouth.
Oh, so you just took, oh, wow. So there was true.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah, I got pictures of it. Carly, I think, took the pictures. Yeah.
That's,
People like to play games with Dawn, too.
well done. I mean,
But there's no harm
I
there.
mean, you're a little funny, too, in a lot of ways. I mean, you nail a few people, and we all love you for it. We're going to miss you about that. And that's what you're all about. I mean, you're like, you're somebody that's leaving this area, and it's going to be pretty devastating because you're kind of one of a kind for a town like us. I mean, you're traditional. You're what Plaistow was all about.
Yeah,
And
I honestly like to see Plaistow go further on, but I think it's got to take a deep breath and look at things a little better. I think we're running before we're walking here, and it's going to fall down. I honestly believe our senior citizens are taking a hit.
Things aren't too good out there right now for a
No,
lot of
it
people.
isn't. And I like to see the town it was maybe 20 years ago, but you'll never see it. You got to go along with it, and I just don't like to see people get hurt.
Yeah, progress is really great, but in some ways people go like Newburyport. You go back to Newburyport, and they just can't wait to get back to the old flavor, the old town. So you don't want to lose what the town's all about. Its identity, which is people like yourself that were born and brought up there, and you're seeing it change all the time. It's quite devastating.
Yeah, we used to know most of the people in town, but now it's got to the point where...
You're right.
Who are they?
You see them at the post office, or like you said, at the old A&P store, or down at Don's Mart. It was just...
Those are gone.
And when Custos come in, that was that big giant of a grocery store over on 125, and you thought the world would never end after that. And
it never did.
No, actually, it kept going further.
Yeah.
And it'll find its way, like all things.
I hope so, because there's a lot of very nice people in this town. And,
just to let you know, in my business, a lot of people that move up from Boston and all around, they just love it here. Now, they don't really put their finger on it, but they're just so glad to be over the border and being up here. And Plaistow seems to be a very comfortable place for them, and I think that that'll make you feel good. So you did a lot of good, and you got that water line certainly moving in the right direction. But speaking about the water line, in the animal and all the other things you do, who'll try to replace you? Have we got any idea right now?
I think I've talked with John, and I've talked with the fire chief, and trying to help them both to get so it's not going to be an expense to the town. That's another thing. It's easy to replace for somebody, but it usually costs double to replace, and you got to get somebody that likes the job and likes the town.
Yeah.
When you get a businessman doing a job,
it's all over. I mean, it's a little messy. And I can remember how many budgets I went through. I mean, we're talking 18, 19 years when you walked in and said, hey, look, I charge you the same thing I did last year. I do it for the love for the town. Yeah. Maybe in the last couple of years we had you on and you're doing the same thing with the water supervisor you know, water line supervisor, you've actually brought that up to a level where you've really got good with it, and you've saved the town money, but God, you know, here you go, and we're going to lose you to Arizona.
There's other people out there qualified in the town of Plaistow to do the job. You've got to work with them, and that's the whole thing. There's a problem with a water line. It's buried. You never know where the problem is. When you got a problem, you can't find it. So you gotta, if you install the water line, you gotta make sure it's put in properly. If not, it's gonna be an expensive thing.
I really thought, you know, being a selectman, and I'm not saying that that everything is going to go bad or not as good as when you were there, because I certainly believe you've left them with all the information. I just hope that they can put the time in the effort to always do things but save the town money and work things as reasonable but keep it moving forward, because it's all laid out now.
The whole secret is you got to have a heart in the town. If you got the heart in the town, you can do it. It'll be cheap. It will, believe me.
I think it's worked out well since you've been, and I think you gave us...
I've enjoyed it.
You planted the seed, Don.
I've enjoyed it.
I know you.
I really have.
I always see you on the side of the road. I guess you're headed for Glendale, Arizona. That'll be where you're going to live?
Yes, we have property out there. The wife and I have a new home out there, and my boy lives right there. And in fact, I talked to him yesterday. He said it was 103 a couple of days ago, and tell Ma the swimming pool's all set. So it's going to be good for her, too. Therapy in the water and stuff like that.
Boy, that's jumping from one terrain to the other. I mean, Arizona versus New Hampshire. Holy jump.
No, there's no maple trees.
No.
I'm going to miss a lot of that.
I
was thinking last time I was down there, if I had to live down here, I think I'll get a whole bunch of little cactus and sit on a bridge and sell them 50 cents a piece on Sunday or something.
Oh, I'll show you.
I got to do something. You know what I said?
Yeah, you're right. You could send cactus up here. We'd all like them.
Ooh, yeah.
But I know that you'll probably visit us, hopefully, sometime in the future, and let us know what's...
I'll be back to visit people. There's too many friends here. You know, I have a lot of friends. I'm very fortunate to do that. You know?
Yeah, and that's been... Is there anything before I probably asked you some questions, but is there anything that you'd like to say, and not only to your friends, but to the town of Plaistow of the years that you've been here, and that anything?
I've always been treated fair with the budget committee, the selectmen. And as you are known as a selectman, if I have my word to say, I say it. I don't lie about it.
Oh, yeah.
I let you know, and that's how we move ahead. And we've got some wonderful people in this town. A lot of people don't. I'd like to see people go visit some of the elderly people and just talk to them. There's a lot of reef knowledge out there, but we're letting it go, you know.
You mean the elderly population in Plaistow?
Yeah, there's people out there, they don't get to see you, but you walk over and see them, and you'll be surprised how much they'll talk. They'll talk more than you do.
Yeah, and they know a lot, too.
Yes, they
And it's
do.
always interesting, too.
They do.
Sure. Well, I guess tonight is... not your farewell. I guess you're leaving, what, Friday?
Monday morning, I'm flying out of Logan Airport.
Yeah.
And,
I wish you all the luck, and I appreciate you being here.
Well,
And wish you and Judy the best of luck in your future. And I don't worry about you, Dawn. I worry about Judy.
yeah.
All right? And it's
That's
not
why
because,
I'm there.
but
That's
that's
why
why
I'm
you're
going
there.
there. That's why
Okay,
I'm
we go
going there.
back,
Yeah,
and that's real special. You're not exactly. This is not your greatest choice. It's the choice of best for you and Judy's future.
41 years, we've always agreed on stuff.
And I would do the same. And
You have to.
we're going to miss you. And we, if we could get a little statue out there.
Don't go
I was
into
going to
that.
work on it
Don't
tomorrow.
go into that.
I'm just starting a statue program.
What, old
I wanna
fenders off cars and stuff, putting them together?
We do go back a long way. And
Yes.
I know you probably, but I appreciate all your support for me in the town, and I can only say that you even tonight will not really do Don justice for who Don is. And like he said, the fire departments, the tradition of Plaistow, Don is certainly one of those people that really makes you feel good about being in Plaistow. I know I did when I was younger, and I still do now, and he'll always be part of Plaistow as far as I'm concerned, and he's always welcome, and the doors are open in my house for you, so I wish you all the luck, too. And
Probably going to need some.
well, you know, it sounds like you spent most of your life rolling the dice anyway, so,
Well,
you know.
I didn't waste that.
It hasn't been much different to me. I was one of
I
7.
think the biggest thing I'm going to miss is the trees and stuff like that. You know, they don't have trees down here. They have cactuses. And
Can't you just
I
decorate
was-
one, just to, you know, put leaves, or, I mean, can't you bring back a fake? No, I know what you love it. It's beautiful there.
oh, I
The
know how beautiful
sunsets.
it is. I've been there.
And you'll be with your
Been there.
kids, and Judy
Yeah.
will be happy, and you're going to make a lot of friends down there, and you know it. I bet you $10 you'll move right in, and they're just going to love you.
I'll be involved.
Yep. Bring
I
old New
almost got
Hampshire-
involved with
New
your
Hampshire-
job once, but I didn't want to knock you out of the office. So
Oh, well, you were running for, when I heard you were running for selectman, I was pulling up stakes real quick, because you certainly could do a better job than I.
I thought of that once, and then that's one of the things my wife said to me. I never say no, but this is enough. So
Well-
that was the end of the selectman's idea, but
Well,
I think
I
I
don't-
would have enjoyed it a
They,
couple times at it.
well, we have to go through a tremendous basic training to become a selectman,
Is
so
that
I don't know
right?
if you could handle it,
I
you know.
think I could.
You know, now you're pushing. But we really, we just love the guy. Hate to say goodnight to him, because Donald is probably, if you want to, he's going to be here till Monday, and hopefully if anybody out there wants to come over and see him, or he'll be around, he'll probably be out on the water lines tomorrow.
I will.
So I'd like to remind all of you viewers that you meet Don and Judy at the Vic Gary Center tomorrow night, October 22nd, from 5 to 7 for a farewell get-together. Please join us. And I'm going to tell you that if you're going to go any place or ever see one icon, you got to come there, because Don will be at his best. This is not his best. He don't like sitting here.
No.
This was a workout for Don. And when you hear the next buzz, turn in. Until then, stay safe, get involved with the Plaistow Cable Television. We need a lot of help here. There's a lot of things that could be done. I'm certainly not the guy that's going to change the cable. We need people. Hopefully, when I'm not a selectman, maybe I'll join more of being part of the cable to have some fun. And it's a way to get, we don't have Rockingham news now, so nothing's out there for our public. This is the way we want to generate. We spent a lot of time and money here in the group, don't you think?
Ah.
And we're going to put this on the air and have a good time, and there's nothing special. We're regular people. I'm one of your neighbors, and Don certainly is going to be, so we miss him and his wife Judy, who are just special. So this is Buzzy Blinn, and have a good night. Thank you.